There's a hidden key behind the energy that fuels desire, enthusiasm, and even the joy of living, particularly after age 60. It's no secret that the body undergoes changes with time. Muscle strength wanes, skin loses its elasticity, sleep becomes fragmented, and the inclination for intimate moments may simply vanish. For many, this is perceived as a natural part of aging. But what if we told you there's a hormone responsible for rekindling that inner fire? A hormone that works silently throughout life, but when neglected can compromise your vitality as a whole? We're talking about the growth hormone, GH. And no, it's not solely for childhood growth spurts. It continues to be produced in adulthood and, surprisingly, has a direct link to your libido. This hormone's influence extends so broadly that it's nearly impossible to encapsulate its effects in a single statement. It participates in tissue formation, aids in the regulation of body fat, contributes to muscle regeneration, and even influences mood. However, what is less frequently discussed is its role in maintaining a healthy libido, even in later years, when balanced. This doesn't imply that GH is a natural sex pill, but rather that its presence is fundamental for the body to retain the vitality and enthusiasm that precede sexual desire. In practice, men and women with lower levels of this hormone report persistent fatigue, a waning interest in pleasurable activities, and, most significantly, a gradual withdrawal from active sexual life. And this often occurs without an obvious cause: normal examinations, seemingly good health. Yet, a palpable decline in vital energy persists. This is the point that is rarely discussed. GH may be the missing link between health and libido after the age of 60. However, we are not talking about miracles or magic solutions. Science has already shown that the natural decline of GH with age does not have to be a death knell. There are strategies, both natural and therapeutic, to stimulate its production and restore to the body a portion of the vigor that seemed lost. The first step in this process is to understand why this hormone is so neglected in discussions about sexual health, when it should be a central part of the conversation. It is curious to observe that most people associate sexual problems with a decline in testosterone or estrogen. Granted, these hormones are undeniably crucial. However, they do not operate in isolation. The human body is a hormonal orchestra, and GH acts as the silent conductor, rarely in the spotlight, but dictating the tempo of the entire ensemble. When this maestro is exhausted or absent, the music simply ceases to flow. Men who experience frequent erectile dysfunction or a diminished spontaneous urge, and women who feel disconnected from their own bodies, experiencing decreased sensitivity and limited arousal, often grapple with the consequences of low-growth hormone, GH, production. The most alarming aspect is that this issue is rarely investigated, as conventional medical examinations typically fail to encompass it. Individuals may consult multiple specialists only to receive vague or generalized explanations. This video serves as an invitation to a more comprehensive, profound, and realistic approach to understanding these concerns. The functioning of GH extends far beyond what most people envision. Contrary to popular belief, it doesn't solely operate on muscles or aesthetics. It interacts with the central nervous system, directly impacting areas of the brain responsible for desire, motivation, and even the sensation of reward. In essence, it not only physically prepares the body for sexual activity, but also influences the inclination to connect intimately, whether with another person or oneself. Over the years, the decline in GH production contributes to a number of factors that, cumulatively, diminish pleasure and desire: poorer sleep quality, visceral fat accumulation, slowed reflexes, irritability, a sense of aging, and of course, a weakened self-perception. When you look in the mirror and don't recognize yourself, or when your body seems weary even before you attempt any intimate stimulation, libido simply shuts down. And this shutdown is not a matter of frivolity, nor a lack of self-love. It is pure biology. It is the body calling for help. But here's the good news. It's possible to reignite that energy center. There are simple practices, such as intense physical exercise, deep and regular sleep, well-guided intermittent fasting, and exposure to sunlight, that demonstrably stimulate the natural production of GH. Each of these habits, when incorporated regularly, fundamentally alters the biological landscape of desire. It's not just about feeling more energized, but about rekindling the spark of curiosity, provocation, and sexual pleasure that seemed forgotten. Moreover, when GH levels are satisfactory, the body responds more favorably to other hormonal stimuli. Testosterone, for instance, exerts its influence with greater efficacy. The same applies to dopamine, a neurotransmitter crucial for the sensation of pleasure. It is as if GH sets the stage for other hormones to perform their roles with exceptional prowess. Therefore, it is not hyperbolic to assert that the growth hormone is the backdrop of sexual vitality, and without it, the entire performance may lose its vigor. Hey, let me ask you something. Have you ever heard about the connection between growth hormone and libido? Have you ever experienced moments where your body completely disconnected from desire, leaving you puzzled as to why? If so, share your story in the comments. Your experience could help others going through the same thing, who might not even suspect that the cause could be linked to GH. And if this explanation sparked a light bulb moment for you, subscribe to the channel, but do it with a playful touch. Hit that button as if you were reigniting a spark within. Let's embark on this journey together. Desire transcends the physical realm, not being confined merely to the genital area. It emerges from subtle connections between the brain, emotions, external stimuli, and the sense of belonging to one's own body. As we age, it's common to experience a disconnect from this perception. The mirror reflects more pronounced features, routines impose weariness, and intimate life yields to the demands of daily concerns. In this context, the growth hormone acts not solely on metabolism, but as a bridge between body and mind. It influences neurotransmitters like serotonin and dopamine, which are responsible for feelings of well-being and exhilaration in the face of pleasure. It is as if GH were a neurochemical foundation capable of supporting pleasure with greater depth. Individuals with low levels of this hormone face a heightened risk of developing depressive episodes, apathy, and anhedonia, the inability to experience pleasure. And when pleasure fades, sexual desire naturally wanes. It is no coincidence that those who stimulate the natural production of GH often report a marked improvement in mood, mental clarity, and self-esteem, essential components for an active and healthy sex life. After all, sex is also about trust. And trust stems from the energy you feel when inhabiting your own body. Another frequently overlooked aspect is the physical response during sexual intercourse. For men, this involves sustained erections, heightened sensitivity, and stamina. For women, lubrication, vaginal tone, and surrender. All these physiological responses require a balanced hormonal system. GH promotes blood flow, accelerates tissue recovery, enhances cellular oxygenation, and contributes to the response time to stimuli. This explains why many people, upon optimizing GH, experience a resurgence in performance, not just during the act itself, but also in the desire that precedes the intimate moment. We're discussing a process of biological re-education. It's not about chasing youth at all costs, but about restoring the body's fundamental conditions to allow it to function with pleasure and quality. GH, therefore, acts as a silent cellular reprogrammer, often going unnoticed by those seeking only immediate or superficial solutions. That's why integrative medicine practitioners and physiologists are increasingly focusing on this hormone, not just for its aesthetic appeal, but for its potential to restore vitality and enthusiasm to daily life. Now that you understand the significance of GH for sexual and emotional well-being, let's explore how to activate it naturally. Contrary to popular belief, hormone therapy isn't the immediate solution. There are everyday practices, when consistently implemented, that stimulate the endogenous production of growth hormone. And best of all, they yield comprehensive benefits for the entire body. The first pillar is deep sleep. GH is released in greater quantities during the deepest sleep cycles, particularly between 10 p.m. and 2 a.m. Therefore, maintaining a consistent sleep schedule and eliminating nighttime stimuli, such as blue light and excessive noise, is a significant step. Restorative sleep not only elevates GH levels, but also enhances sexual libido the following day. The second pillar is physical exercise, particularly high-intensity training. Interval training, HIIT, weightlifting, and brisk walking are excellent for stimulating the release of GH. Furthermore, exercise enhances mood, alleviates stress, and boosts self-esteem, all factors that fuel libido. By conditioning your body, you are, in a sense, also training your sexual energy. The third factor is strategic nutrition. Avoiding insulin spikes is fundamental, as high levels of this hormone inhibit the release of GH. Diets with a low glycemic index, supervised intermittent fasting, and adequate protein intake are pathways that stimulate the consistent release of the growth hormone. Moreover, certain nutrients such as arginine, glutamine, and melatonin participate in the regulatory chain of GH. Natural supplements, when recommended by a healthcare professional, can be a significant reinforcement. Another intriguing aspect is sun exposure. Vitamin D, synthesized by the skin, has a direct influence on overall hormonal function. Daily sun baths, 15 to 20 minutes, particularly in the morning, are valuable allies. Coupled with practices such as meditation, cold showers, and deep breathing, which enhance the body's sensitivity to hormonal stimuli, this fosters a state of heightened receptivity to pleasure. Establishing these routines does not signify living under rigidity. Rather, it is an invitation to reconnect. A more active, intentional, and meaningful life naturally reflects in the quality of one's sex life. GH is merely the harbinger of this transformation, and its constant release is a testament to your well-being, nourishing lifestyle, and respect for your own time. Many believe that after the age of 65-70, sexual life loses its luster and becomes little more than a distant memory. However, reality paints a different picture. Couples who prioritize hormonal health and emotional connection report a vibrant, pleasurable, and continually evolving intimate life, even in their later years. And the growth hormone, when understood and respected, becomes a potent tool in this rediscovery. It's not about returning to the way things were, but rather about making room for a new version of yourself, more conscious, lighter, and more potent. GH is the biological messenger that tells you your body still has much to give. It awakens in you a renewed zest for life, an increasingly optimistic self-perception, and a clarity regarding what truly matters in intimacy. By naturally regulating your hormonal levels, you're paving the way for self-assurance. This translates to sexual liberation, freedom to explore your body without guilt, to rediscover touch, fantasies, intimacy, and sensations. Mature sex with self-awareness and hormonal balance can be as intense, if not more so, than that of youth, precisely because it carries meaning. If you've made it this far, it's because you feel something pulsing within you that hasn't died. It has merely been dormant. And if this video has helped you to regard your sexuality with greater respect, more scientific understanding, and more tenderness, don't leave without leaving a comment. Share your story here, whether you've experienced this disconnect from your libido or are currently rediscovering it. Your experience has the power to inspire dozens of others. Of course, seize this opportunity for reconnection and subscribe to the channel. But subscribe as one who accepts an invitation to return to oneself. Here you will find uncensored information, non-judgmental acceptance, and content that delves beyond the superficial. If this video resonated with you,